Okay, everyone, I think we are live. Thank you for joining us tonight for a Talk Daredevil live stream. We are super excited to chat, and we really appreciate you spending a small part of your evening with us. If you recognize me, I'm Phyllis, and for tonight's stream, I am joined by two team members.
Hey, I'm Aisha.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
And so we're going to give people a little bit of time to join. I think we're currently sharing out this link on our social media accounts. But you know what? You can always replay this live stream later. But anyway, when you do join, feel free to hop into the live chat, say hi, let us know where you're joining from. We always love to see where the Daredevil fandom is located. And just so you know, you can always drop questions or topics that you're interested in hearing us discuss. And we'll probably save those for the end, but we'll take as many as we have time to cover before we wrap up. And just to start, this is hopefully an obvious reminder, but this conversation will obviously be filled with a lot of spoilers for Spider Man No Way Home and for Hawkeye.
Oh yeah.
Um, Yep, if you haven't caught up on either, highly suggest that you turn around now and don't listen anymore than you already have. But again, like I said before, once this live stream wraps up, it's gonna post immediately on our channel, and you can replay it, whenever you want. Um, so let's see. All right. Hi, everybody. I see a few names popping up in the live chat. You know what? Because we don't want to be spending all evening on here, we're probably just going to jump into the conversation. So, whenever you're here and you're joining us, go ahead, start chatting. But I think the natural place to start tonight is probably Spider Man. And all three
Oh,
of us watched the movie last night.
yes.
So,
Oh,
should
yeah.
we should we talk about general thoughts on the movie, or should we go straight to the good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, general thoughts,
Okay, let's go.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm a huge Spidey fan, so I was going for the movie, but also for our guy, for the big spoiler. And
Big
I just
spoiler.
thought it hit all the right notes. It was so good. Oh my gosh.
A, were you a big Spider-Man fan leading into this?
Yes. I mean, I'd watched all the movies,
Mhm.
even the previous Spider-Man movies. So I was excited about watching the movie anyways. But of course, when all the rumors and everything started about Charlie being there as Matt, I was
Mhm.
like I was just over the moon,
Mhm.
and it didn't disappoint at all.
No.
Um, Charlie's cameo and the movie in general, it was just so fantastic. And the cinema I was in, it was packed, and the
Mhm.
audience was so engaged and so energized. I just had the most fantastic time yesterday.
Oh, yeah, Charlie for my theater was, like, the first loud cheer of obviously many cheers for the
Yes,
rest of the
Oh,
movie.
same,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
same,
But
yes.
it felt really good to know that it was the Matt Murdock appearance that kicked all that off, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
Oh
like the
yeah.
rest of you, I I feel like out of our team, I might be one of the more critical people, of Marvel Studios. And, I usually don't mince words when I don't like something, and I have to say that they really surprised me, um, by how much they knocked this one out of the park. I feel like maybe it's because it's been such a long time since we've had, like, an event movie like this,
Yeah.
but I just enjoyed myself so much. Like, it was such an enjoyable movie, it was so entertaining, it was so, like, emotional. I don't think I was expecting how emotional it was gonna be.
Oh my
And for
God.
a movie
Mhm.
that was completely like, knowing all the stuff that had come out, clearly this was gonna be a very fan servicey movie, especially for people that were coming in as fans of the previous,
Mhm.
Spider-Man franchises. Like, it all felt so pitch perfect, I didn't feel like anyone was kind of there as just a, like, "Oh, yeah, we gotta throw this in for the fans. We're not really gonna think about it." Like, it felt like everyone was done like, they did
Yeah.
justice,
Yeah.
to every yeah.
Nothing was like a token appearance, right? It
Yes.
all had
Yeah.
meaning, and there
Mhm.
wasn't a dull moment. It was a
Oh,
two and
yeah.
a half hour long movie, and I don't know where the time went.
Mhm.
Like it didn't feel like it was dragging it
It
at any place.
it really didn't. Um, I'm reading a hilarious comment right now, from DD173, who, after Charlie Cox's scene, I leaned over to my wife and said, "Okay, I've seen what I needed to see. We can go now." Uh, of course, so let's, like, pivot to the Charlie scene. I was not expecting
Oh,
it
yeah.
to be so early and
Wow,
so
it was
quick.
super early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. I was like, it was like in the first 15 minutes of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah,
And
I
yes,
mean, I wasn't keeping time, but I was like, "Whoa, there's still a lot of movie to go after this,"
yeah,
but, um, like, okay, so let's dig in. So it's a what was it, about, like, a minute long, maybe?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, like, when we've all discussed this privately,
yeah.
but I think we all collectively, when the camera pulled back and you saw his hand
And
Oh my
Kane,
holding
gosh,
his
the
cane.
oh
cane.
my God.
It just caught me off guard completely.
Right. Like, totally wasn't I mean, I don't know, it's like, you're kind of expecting, or I guess I was kinda like, "Oh, if this is gonna happen, where is it gonna happen? How is it going to
Mhm.
reveal?" Right? And when they
Yeah.
did that little pullback and you see his cane, then you hear him talk, and it's just like, yeah, I think my brain definitely fritzed very
Oh,
briefly.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely screamed. Ver
I,
my
like, gave a woo, I think, or something. I'm not sure.
I remember I called out Matt, and then I was very engaged. I think I listened to all the dialogue. I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, and all I could think of was he's perfect. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh,
this
yeah.
scene is perfect. It is
Uh-huh.
perfectly done. It's it's a small cameo, but
Mhm.
they wrote it, and the way they wrote it, and his reactions, and the look on his
Mhm.
face is, I think
Mhm.
it was beautiful.
And you know what? And so, I was already just like, okay, once my brain fritzed, and then I cheered, and the audience is like clapping and going, "Whoa, no way, man!" And I'm trying to like pay attention to the scene, and what I clocked was like, this is our Matt, right?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is they haven't changed anything from our Netflix Matt. This is Matt, the same look, the same voice, the same way that
Yep.
he carries himself. But then I wasn't expecting the brick. And
Oh,
I
the
was
brick
like,
was
"Oh,"
yes.
so
and I was
perfect.
like, "That is so perfect." Because I was wondering, like, are we going to acknowledge that he is also a superhero, or is
Yeah.
this just Matt Murdock purely in a legal capacity, right?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, like, kind of blacked out. I mean, I was watching and the guy 2 seats down from me, like, lost his mind.
Mm,
Like, was, like, yelling, and I was just we have thought about this for 3 years, this moment, and I think so much was going through my mind, and, like, "Okay, he's back. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Okay, the suit, the glasses,
mhm,
everything." And then I'm
mhm.
like, "Wait, he's talking. I need to pay attention." And so, like, halfway through, I'm like, "Okay, focus on what's happening." And so I had to go and, like, find a bootleg later to be like, "Okay, I need to, like, rewatch this scene because I feel like I missed, like, the first couple
Like,
lines."
everything that happens, and it's a pretty short scene, so if you miss, like, half of it,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think my husband and I are probably gonna get tickets again and see this, and
Oh,
if
yeah.
he's not coming with me, I'm gonna go by myself just to rewatch that scene with Matt.
Definitely.
Um,
I
I
so
already
honestly
have two. I
oh,
already have 2 tickets
that's right,
because
you're go yep,
yeah,
Yes.
I'm going on Sunday too. So
you're smart, so you prepared ahead of time. You're like,
yes,
"I don't care how, I don't care how long this is or how it turns out, I'm going again."
yep.
My sister hasn't watched any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Mm,
She's followed the MCU, but just hasn't
okay.
seen the Spider-Man for some reason.
Mhm.
And today I was like, "I'm bringing you Homecoming. I
Mm,
just bought Far From Home for $6 off of Amazon. I'm
nice.
sending it to you, and then we're gonna go see it." So you're coming with me.
That is amazing. What a fun
So
thing to do together.
yeah,
So
but I know she'll like it. She loved all the other Spider-Man, so
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know that the 2 of us have, like, very fond memories of the Tobey Maguire,
Oh,
Spider-Man
definitely.
movies.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so I think that I guess I'm trying to think about what we could talk like, if we wanna talk more about Charlie, if we wanna talk more about the movie. But I do have a thought to share just which kind of encompasses my thoughts about the
Mhm.
movie too. I think they did a brilliant job folding in both the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in a way that really honored their characters from those original movies and really gave us a sense of like how time has passed and how the experiences they had really affected them. And I just
Definitely.
thought, I know this isn't like an apple to apples comparison, but I think that seeing how successful No Way Home was in pulling this off and in how they included both of the Peters and how they included all the villains from those movies, it's a really positive example, at least to me, of what Marvel Studios can potentially do with Matt and with Wilson Fisk and the whole Daredevil crew, right?
Mhm.
Because to me, the success of what they did with, the Multiverse Spider-Man really demonstrate that the existing storytelling and the depth of that existing storytelling can actually add so much to how we're experiencing the story on screen, right?
Mhm.
And of course, it's gonna be a much deeper layer for the people that are familiar, right, with those previous versions of the character. But people who aren't, they can always go back, they can watch
Yeah.
in the case of this movie, the previous Spider-Man movies, and hopefully for any future Daredevil project, they can go back and they can rewatch the Netflix Daredevil show, right? And they can
Mhm.
get that deeper
Absolutely.
understanding. But to
Yeah.
me, it's just like there is no reason that you need to take an existing character and strip them completely down and start from square one.
No,
It just
because
isn't necessary.
Yeah.
yeah, because their existing stories give them the history and the richness
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
all the reasons why we love them and the fans love them. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the fans have already said how much they love the first 3 seasons and those what they, what they created. So build upon that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I
Yeah.
just I think they have like a really good opportunity here to bring these characters into the MCU, but still keep the like who they are, the essence of them, and I also know that Charlie and Vincent and whoever else they, bring in, they have, they love these characters, they respect these characters, and they will guard these characters and protect them. Um,
yeah,
hope
I,
that
Yeah.
I have
yeah,
faith in them because
Yeah.
they
yeah,
they know these characters,
yeah,
you know, more than anyone else.
Mhm.
So
exactly.
Agreed. This might be a good point for us to talk about Hawkeye.
oh yeah.
And the other this was, like, such a insane week.
Oh my
Obviously,
gosh.
there was a lot of intention on on the part of Marvel, in how they timed all of this, but, right
Mhm.
before Spider-Man came out for most of us, I think the people in the UK were lucky enough to get this all on the same day,
Oh
but
my
before
gosh, that would have been
Spider-Man came out, that
so
would've been
much.
nuts, right? Well,
And the
we
same day as Charlie's birthday.
Charlie's what a day. What
I
a
just
day.
it's
Um
overwhelming.
Quite overwhelming. But, in Hawkeye episode 5, we got the official reveal of Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role as Wilson Fisk. And so let's talk a little bit about that because kind of to go to springboard off of this thought that, these actors know these characters so well. Um, I love to kind of dig into like what we thought about how they introduced Fisk on the show. Because we were getting hints even before, in
Yeah.
episode 3, the one that was very echo focused.
Mhm.
Kind of like we can talk a little bit about that and how we maybe what we're hoping for or expecting for the finale, which is going to be next Wednesday. I think it's going to be very telling because hopefully that episode will feature Vincent's Fisk in a much more significant way, not just a crappy quality video, photo, whatever on
Right.
Yelena's phone. And by the way, why is it so crappy looking? Like, what?
Right.
Did she take a picture of like a bad camera feed? Like, I don't really understand.
Like, isn't
Um,
that like 2024 or 2025 now? So why is
right? Should our technology not be better?
Yeah, yeah.
Should an assassin have better? Anyway, neither here nor there. But okay, but tell me, what did you think when you first saw him on screen?
I was
um
I was in
I
shock. I mean, yeah, you go A. You go, Aisha.
I was like, I was yelling actually. I was watching it with, two of our friends, Sam and Man, and we just we were so elated when we saw him. Like, there he is! He is there! Like, finally we see a picture.
Mhm.
There's no denying now.
Yeah. I know we were a
Um,
little concerned at first that the photo was grainy, but thankfully his name was right there, Vincent
Oh yeah, I
D'Onofrio.
was waiting for those
Woo!
credits because the first
Because
thing
I was
my
like,
husband said,
I do not
yeah,
want to be arguments about,
right.
was that actually him? Yeah, I mean, we were kind of expecting it, especially after episode 3. I don't know if that was his arm, but that was totally his. Was it a laugh? I think. Um, there was like
y-
a noise that he made.
yes, I think in
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
3 we heard him
Mhm.
laugh while he's in that flashback
Yeah,
with
that's right.
young Maya.
Yeah, which
Um,
that totally sounded like him, which that was very exciting, and then to see his picture, it was just like, I don't know, I just kinda sat there. First I was like, "Oh, that's it?" Like,
mhm,
I was hoping for more, but I just kinda sat there like, "Oh my gosh, it's real, like,
yeah,
this has happened. He is back."
yeah.
Like
I do have to say, I was like, wait, this is really happening at the end of the. Because I was like, because I had heard the rumors, right,
Yeah.
that there would potentially be an appearance. And, I was watching with a bit of anticipation, and I was like, "Wow, it really waited till the
The
final
last
moment
second.
of this episode," but it was still worth it. Like,
Mhm, yeah.
waiting through those credits, seeing, his name, like, his actual name in the credits. Because my husband, literally, the first thing he said when Kate showed Clint the phone, he's like, "Are we sure that's Vincent? Is that really him?" So, seeing Vincent D'Onofrio nice and big in bold
Yeah.
letters, like,
Yes.
"Yes, it's him." And then
Yeah.
that wonderful, way they handle the title card at the very end where you see the
Oh,
silhouette
yeah.
of
Yeah.
Kingpin
Oh,
over,
yeah.
I I loved it, and so now
Yeah.
I'm very anxious and excited for, what might come in the next episode. Um, so what are you guys hoping to see?
So it's been 5 years since the blip.
Mhm.
So what has happened? Like, the last time we saw
Mhm.
Kingpin, he was in jail. Matt put him there.
Yep.
So, and that was
Mhm.
before the blip.
Yep.
So I'm just curious to see what has been happening in Kingpin's life in those 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how has he come to this level of control?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's theories out there, and I tend to agree. I think he survived the blip. Um, somebody had mentioned, maybe part somebody in the team, how they think that maybe when the blip happened, he probably was able to escape from prison.
Yeah, I think that was
It
me
doesn't.
actually.
Was
Yeah,
it you? Yeah,
Yeah.
like, he probably escaped from prison. It doesn't seem like there was an actual, like, running, like, a court of law up and running for a
right,
while,
Well, your
right,
so
husband is a lawyer. Could you
yeah.
imagine if half of the world disappeared? I
right,
don't think any of the normal,
Oh, no. I mean,
legal processes.
in 2020, like, the legal
Right,
system, like, screeched
right.
to a halt. Like, I
Yes,
can't even imagine if half the world disappeared. Like,
yeah.
so,
Someone like Wilson Fisk will find a way.
oh, yeah.
Whether I mean, God, Frank Castle in Daredevil season 2 just needed someone to hand they just opened
Yep.
the door for him, but, it doesn't take much, I don't think, to take
No.
advantage of a little bit of chaos, and someone
Right.
as smart
Mhm.
as Fisk would certainly find a way to do that, and he is definitely someone who does not mind, I feel like, biding his time a bit in the shadows to
Yeah.
rebuild. And 5 years is a long time. And
Yeah.
so, I think the natural assumption, if Fisk was not blipped, is that Matt might have been, um,
Yeah.
Yep.
which yeah, it's tricky. I think I was running through some scenarios in my head, like, okay, well, if Matt wasn't blipped, but like Foggy and Karen were, or like
Mm,
Foggy and Karen weren't blipped, but Matt what? I'm like, okay, I just
all
hope they
those
were all blipped. I hope they were
nightmare
all blipped,
scenarios, right?
because it's dark thinking that like
Yeah.
anyone got
Yeah.
left behind, and I cannot imagine that if Matt were left behind, that he would have not done something, but you just don't know because obviously, as we saw in Endgame, even though there could have been more, but things got dark for a lot of people, and so
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it might have been like for any of the Scooby Gang. But I feel like it's my money is on Matt not having
Being
been left
around.
behind. So,
My hope is that maybe all 3 of them blipped,
mhm,
just
mhm.
so none of them had to, well, and Marcy, like,
Yeah,
just so they could
just
all
all the people we love,
just,
just
like,
like let them
all
blip.
be
Keep them
together.
all together.
But, yeah, yeah, so I'm really interested to see what they do next week. I don't really have many thoughts about what's gonna happen. You girls know I'm a huge Hawkeye fan, and so
Mhm.
I've really just been along for this ride. Like, I've just
Yeah.
really enjoyed the show, and so having Kingpin show up has just really been the icing on the cake. And Echo is one of my favorite comic characters,
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I'm just know I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it.
Yep. Yep.
It'll just be good to see. I think there was an interview that Haley did sometime
Yes.
in the last week, and she was just talking about she's a huge fan of Vincent and how amazing it was to be like standing in front of him,
Mhm.
talking, and just like being in his presence as Fisk. And I'm like, I'm so ready.
I am so ready to. Yeah, I think I have no real specifics in mind as far as like what I would expect to see. I
Mhm.
feel like it's safer to not. Oh, this is a callback to to No Way Home. If you expect disappointment, then you'll
Oh yeah,
never be disappointed. Not not
exactly.
not that I expect to be disappointed, because just seeing Vincent back as Fisk will be more than
Yeah,
satisfying for me. But I'm not gonna expect to see anything that's gonna answer probably the laundry list of questions I have in my head,
yeah,
right?
agreed.
Because, as we know, there is gonna be an Echo spinoff, and
Yeah.
so that
Mhm.
will be very interesting because obviously we have, Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk in play now in the MCU,
Yeah.
and so clearly we all know that she originated in the Daredevil comics, so there is gonna hopefully be some kind of, integration there,
Mhm.
somewhere for those characters to perhaps appear. But I am also really excited to, really see Maya become Echo,
She's
Oh
on her
yeah.
own show.
fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, like, let's give it up for Alakwa because she
Yeah,
has
she's
been
amazing. Right.
she
I
has
have been
been lovely.
so, oh my gosh, like I probably like her better than comics Echo,
Mm,
guys. I'm really digging her. She's
I
really
mean,
great.
I, I only know Echo from the Daredevil comics, so I haven't
Yeah.
read any of her other
mhm,
stuff. So,
mhm, mhm.
but she's been fantastic on Hawkeye, and she's been one of my favorite characters here. So I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing how they'll develop her own series,
Mhm.
and I'm expecting that probably not everything will be wrapped up with Kingpin and Echo in the next
Right,
episode,
exactly.
because that's the
Mm,
platform they'll launch it, the
yeah, we gotta
series
have
on.
some conflict for the series, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not expecting for all the questions to be answered, and I feel like I've kind of come to expect that from like the Disney Plus shows, that
For
they
sure.
kind of have been treated as these like little, like bridges or, just kind of mini shows, whatever.
Mhm,
So coming into it being like, okay, this is not probably going to be all contained and it's not
mhm.
going to answer all my questions. I just hope that they answer my questions at some point.
Right, right.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with Vincent and just like watching him on Twitter has just been a joy. Like you can
Mhm.
just tell he's so excited to be back.
He is so excited, and I really hope that, like, the Daredevil people are, like, chatting with each other, like, on the group
Uh-huh.
chat or
Yeah.
something, or just, like, like, obviously, we don't know what is gonna happen exactly, like, we're clearly getting fed these little teases and these little bits
Mhm.
and pieces for now. Um, my assumption and theory, whatever you wanna call it, has always been that if they're reintroducing these characters, and as we can see, they're reintroducing them in a way that seems and feels very true so far
Uh-huh.
to their previous incarnation. I guess we'll find out more about Fisk, right? Where
Yeah.
we're gonna get to see him act and talk because we haven't had that opportunity yet. We've only seen him as like a picture on a screen.
Right.
But having seen Charlie as Matt, again, that felt very like our Matt. It didn't feel like a different version of Matt.
No.
Again,
Yeah.
it was only a minute, but there's enough here in the small amount of data that we have.
Yeah.
It feels like so far there's nothing that is very different, very
Yeah, there was no like red flags for
no red flag.
me.
Yeah.
Mm.
He really acted the same mannerisms, same voice. His
Mhm.
glasses were different, but I mean, it's been what, 7 years?
Yeah,
Maybe
dude.
he
Yeah.
blipped. So it's like obviously you're gonna have small changes in wardrobe, but it
Yeah.
still kept like the same. They didn't completely change his wardrobe, and I feel like that
Yeah.
would have been a shock to the system if he showed up like not looking like Matt,
Right.
and it would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
now I'm maybe worried, but
Right. No, and
Yeah.
and and again, yeah, and again,
Yeah,
we're just working off of a little thumbnail of Fisk, but
exactly.
he was in the white suit.
Mhm.
He had the black shirt. I think a few of the commenters in the chat have commented that, he is wearing a little bit more of the comic book detail. So he has the ascot,
Mhm.
he has the
Yes.
cane.
Yeah.
But there are definitely ways to explain that make sense in universe, right?
Yep.
Because he got his ass beat real bad by
Right.
Matt at the end of Daredevil season 3. Even someone like
Yep.
Kingpin, who is a beast, can be hurt.
Yeah.
So if the man needs a cane, a little bit of cane to get
That's
around,
Mhm.
that's fine. He
it
can
would
use
make
it as
sense.
a weapon, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I guess we've kind of already started down this path of discussion, but just kind of in general talking about what all of these things that we've experienced this week really mean for the future of Daredevil, at least as much as we can read the tea leaves
Mhm.
in the little amount of tea leaves they've given us so far. Again, we've already talked about, the potential timeline, the outcome of the blip. Um, I just think, and I know that you guys agree with me, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but it would be a real loss if this was just a chain of glorified cameos. Um, I think what the people want, and I don't mean to speak for the people, but I do think a lot of the people have demonstrated that they want more from these characters. They want to see like a show. Some people want to see a movie, some people want a show. I don't mind if it takes some time. I don't mind if Feige's plan involves introducing um, our Daredevil characters in various projects first, right? If,
Mhm.
if we're trying to build, maybe establish him in the MCU a little bit more so that by the time we get to show, we have a lot of options to work from, right? We have his history in the original series and we also have his history in the MCU. So if it takes some time and they need to build that up and it gets us maybe hopefully closer to maintaining our original rating, like I'm willing to wait a little bit, you know?
Yeah. We've waited this long, and are there any rumors, about where he might pop up next for
I th-
Vincent?
right. For Vincent. Oh. You know
I
what?
don't know if there's any rumors for Vincent.
I don't think, but again, he's clearly factored into, like, they're introducing him as, like, a big
Yeah.
villain,
Yeah.
right? So,
Mhm.
that's not a one and done choice,
No.
especially
No.
not on a Disney Plus show, you know? Like, yes,
Yeah.
in the movies, historically, maybe some villains have not always, made it to another movie, but we also have
Mhm.
examples of villains who have, and so, yeah, I cannot imagine they pulled in Kingpin just to be like, "Alright, that's it." So,
Mhm.
again, I think, like, our guess is probably Echo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but who knows? I mean, I think a lot of people would love to see him in, like, another Spider-Man movie, right? Like, that is a classic
Yeah.
pairing that would be very,
Think
ver
about the last episode where Clint, when he talked about the big guy,
mhm,
and he said Kingpin,
mhm,
and
Mhm.
like it gave the impression that he is a known villain, a
Yeah.
big
mm,
bad
mhm,
in New York. So
mhm,
he has built himself a reputation, it
yeah,
seems.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah, and
guess we'll just
theoretically, even during the shows, even though we didn't really cross over with, the Avengers, it's safe to say that they probably knew he was around. They just had bigger fish to
mhm.
fry.
Oh, absolutely.
So they've probably, had an, ear to the ground about that. And,
Mhm.
probably knew, that Daredevil is over there,
Taking,
like
yeah, taking care of him. So
taking care of, his little neighborhood. But yeah, so but yeah, I think I hope they have big plans for him. And I think there were rumors, I don't remember. Anyway, um yeah, I'm really excited to see where they take this.
Absolutely. So, we are gonna look through, actually, sorry, one more thought. Um,
Oh.
one more point to make, I guess, because we've talked a lot about Charlie, obviously, we've talked a lot about Vincent, um, but this is a great time to reiterate that as a campaign, as a Save Daredevil campaign, um, we not only wanna see Daredevil and Fisk back,
Mhm.
in a solo project of some sort, we do wanna see the whole cast, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, Daredevil is not what it is without Foggy and with Karen. We've come to love so much the supporting characters that have built out this world that we are familiar
Yeah.
with, um, from the Netflix shows. And there are iconic villains that we have not really seen fully develop to, you know, the fullest of their potential, like Bullseye. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I wanna see Dex back. Like, I loved his portrayal of Bullseye so much in season 3, and it would just be a shame if that was it for him. I mean, I want everyone back, but
Yeah.
I saw someone in the chat specifically called out, Bullseye, so I wanna be like, "Yes, me too."
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, we are fighting for,
all of them.
all of them. And, realistically, we know that it starts with the big names. So I think that's partially why I think it's okay if it takes a little bit of time to get to the point
Mhm.
where, like, okay, yeah, it makes sense to start bringing in um, a couple more leads. So it's like, okay, we can start bringing in, familiar faces. But
Since we're talking wish lists, can I just say I would love to have a Daredevil Punisher?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like give me a mini series or Daredevil
Mhm.
Punisher. Oh my god, that would kill me.
it
That
would
would
it
be
would
But
amazing.
I
it would
would die
absolutely
happy.
it would absolutely fit with the kind of TV that they're making. Not the rating, because that needs to be
Yeah.
mature.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
just, there's team ups, there's team up
Yep.
miniseries, so we're gonna speak that one out into the universe for you, Aisha,
Yep.
uh, because I'm on board for anything that features Daredevil. So if you wanna make, like, a miniseries and you wanna make a show and you wanna make a movie, you
Yes.
know,
And
go
bring in
for
all
it.
the defenders. Bring Jessica Jones, bring Elektra, bring
Mhm,
everyone, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
yep. I saw a shout out for Daredevil, Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I see that.
That would be excellent too. Give us all the pairings.
That was one of
Um
my
Absolutely.
favorite pairings.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Matt and Jess together, my heart is just there. Like their little love-hate relationship was just so perfect for me. I'd love to see
Yeah.
Kristen back as
Oh, yeah.
Jess. But,
I mean, yeah, she absolutely like, she embodied the role,
yep.
just like Charlie embodied Daredevil. I
Yeah.
cannot see them recasting someone like Jessica Jones. It just would
Oh,
not
yeah,
be right.
totally. I think,
Yeah.
you know, I think she's right. And, it's been an interesting journey because I feel like when we started, we had a very specific, like, okay, Netflix, uncancel it, bring back season 4. And it's just been such an wild ride. I feel like we did worked really hard to get our finger like on the pulse of what was happening. And
Mhm,
then Disney would just come out of nowhere and just be like, surprise, we're doing this. And then surprise, we're doing that. And there were so many twists and turns in this campaign.
mhm,
I feel like, this seems like such an important win.
yeah,
And we aren't done yet
mhm,
because we don't just want a cameo. Like, we want them fully fleshed out in the MCU with, solo projects. As for what's coming, I'm kinda with you. I'm like, I feel like I'm keeping an open mind.
mhm,
Obviously, I want same rating, our
mhm,
same characters back, with the same feel. Like, I
mhm,
want a more mature show. Um, but again, like, I me personally, like, I'm not putting, like, my thoughts in a box, like,
mhm,
this is all I'm looking for because
right,
I feel like anytime I did that, they would just throw me a curveball and be like, "Okay,
yeah.
pivot, pivot."
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah,
"Okay."
you bring up a great point because
Um,
we have pivoted so much, and I
yeah,
think, this reminds me that we saw a clip, of Tom Holland doing a press junket for Spider-Man, and he was the interviewer was specifically hinting at Charlie's scene, but he was being very vague. He was like, "Oh, that scene in the beginning of the movie, like, I
it's
freaked
super
out."
vague.
Right.
It
Right.
was vague, but, if you watch it now, after seeing the movie, you're like, "Oh, yeah, there's nothing else he
Yeah.
could have been talking about other than Charlie Cox's appearance."
Mhm.
But Tom responded like, "Oh, are you talking about,
Mhm.
that scene in the I don't remember his specific words, but he was acknowledging that scene, and he was like, You know what's so interesting about that scene is that that wasn't in the original script." They didn't know that they would be able to do that until much later, and just to kind of, like, the whole COVID of it all, the whole pandemic of it
Yeah.
all, shutting everything down in 2020, delaying for the production of Spider-Man, um,
And also, and
we
then
also
the moratorium
the
ended right
moratorium
at that time.
right at
So
that time, and so, even though it's obviously been tough times for a lot of people and there were lots of delays that were very unexpected, it is kind of interesting to, kind of putting it on the stack of all these things that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
I don't think they could have done that kind of intro for Matt Murdock if everything had stayed on
Mhm.
schedule. So that was super interesting for me
yeah,
to kinda hear, and I think it, like, sort of exemplifies, like, there is a need to be somewhat flexible while also
Mhm.
making it really clear, to Kevin Feige and the powers that be what it is we actually want. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw something. I didn't actually watch it or listen to it, but I saw some people throwing out links that, maybe Kevin Feige said that he wasn't gonna bring back the Netflix characters originally until he saw, like, campaigns like ours being successful, So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he actually said that or where he might have said that. I certainly love the intention behind those
Yeah,
words,
the idea.
and I'm like, "Hell yeah," But even if that's a little bit true, like, I think that proves that, what we've been doing and how we've been, kind of rolling with everything that this campaign and real life has thrown at us. I think it just demonstrates that we've been on the right path. So,
I agree. I've been immensely proud of this campaign and just I feel like, how we've handled ourselves and everybody who has followed along and been a part of an active voice on Twitter and
mhm,
I'm just really excited. I think this is just the beginning and while we stay loud for what we want. I'm also excited about all of those little cameo opportunities, if he shows up in other shows.
A
I
lot of
know there's like
surprises that they could be thrown our way. We
yeah,
don't know,
and
you know?
it's like, seeing, coming up in shows that maybe aren't like, mature or dark and kind of seeing maybe a little bit different side of Matt that maybe is a little lighter, just cuz like that would be fun, but that's not the kind of like show that I want for him obviously,
Mm,
but giving him different opportunities here and there, I think we're in for a fun ride. But we're definitely not done.
absolutely. Okay, so
Hmm.
I know we have maybe some things to talk about from the live chat. I want to make sure that we do get a chance to answer any questions. So if you do have a question, feel free to drop it in there. We're probably going to spend maybe like 5, 10 more minutes at most. But thank you again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you coming on and engaging with us. So I'm going to scroll back a little bit. I think someone earlier had messaged about, do you think Daredevil will have a season 4? And I think we've talked about this a few times now.
Hmm.
And I think the short answer is probably not. Um, Only because both in real life and in universe, a lot of time has passed. Um, I don't think that a direct continuation that is marketed as a direct season 4 to seasons 1 to 3 is, a realistic possibility that's on the table. What we have talked a lot about in recent podcasts and minisodes is the idea, and I think this is something that is pretty commonly discussed and, agreed upon in the fandom, but there will probably be some, kind of soft reboot, meaning that it's gonna still be the same character, played by the same actor with the same history, but they might not be specific about that history unless they
Yeah.
need to be. The hope is that they can continue to carry on the story of the characters that originated in the Netflix shows, honor that progression and growth and the
Uh-huh.
characterization that comes from there, honor the tone and the feel, and all the things that make these characters what they are. But, they might not talk about the hand or they might reference it like,
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah, um, I think he fought some ninjas sometime." Okay,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be like that. I'm not a screenwriter. Do not take my words verbatim. So, that's a hope, and I think if we get a sense that the characters that are being introduced now feel like the characters from our show, I mean, I think that's a great sign. We might not be able to pick up right where we left off, but
Mhm.
hopefully we can still tell some new stories that factor in, you know, just the changed circumstances since we
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
saw them,
Yeah,
right?
with the same foundation, like Charlie
Mhm.
said in
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
recent con, in the same continuity. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I see some discussion about the mature rating. Um, and I don't think we've talked about this in a while, but we do have potentially some minisode content or some podcast content. So, by the way, if you guys aren't subscribed or you haven't caught up, we do put out a bunch of content on our YouTube channel that talk about sort of different Daredevil or Disney or Marvel Studios related topics, specifically on YouTube, and then in our podcast or Talk Daredevil podcast, we talk mostly about Daredevil. But in those conversations, we have talked about the mature content of it all. Obviously, Disney Plus in the United States is family friendly, so nothing above PG-13. But
Mhm.
for a lot of you who might be overseas, especially if you're in Europe or Asia, Disney Plus, and Canada, right,
Yep.
Aisha? Because
Yep.
yeah, Disney Plus in other countries does include Star, which is it's basically Hulu. It's Hulu
Mhm.
rebranded for the international audience. So any mature content that originates on Hulu would show up on Star. Any like R-rated Deadpool would technically be a
Yeah.
part of Star. So there are possibilities for that. Obviously, we really don't know what the plan is for Marvel Studios, but they're gonna have to eventually deal with it. We know that they're working on another Deadpool movie, and they have talked about maintaining the rating. We know that they're working on Blade for the next phase. Um, and obviously, you have characters like John Bernthal's Punisher that would be a real shame to leave on the bench, but he is definitely an R-rated character. So, again, knowing that Marvel Studios does plan quite a bit in advance, and that things are always changing on streaming. Streaming is there's been a lot of fast-paced developments. I don't think it's completely off the table, that we could hopefully eventually have official MCU sanctioned Marvel Studios mature content on just a different branch of the platform. So maybe one day in America, we'll get to see Hulu, like, integrated into Disney Plus, and could be a similar experience, as it is internationally. But yeah. Okay. To those of you that have passed along compliments for the campaign, we really appreciate it. Again, it's a little bit like a broken record, but we just appreciate you guys so much. We appreciate everyone that has participated in this campaign, that has tweeted, posted, tagged, written letters, sent in napkins, and just
Absolutely.
and
Like,
just have been so supportive. It's really
yeah,
like, yeah,
we couldn't have done it without the fans and the DD fan support.
yeah,
Like,
and I'm just so thrilled that we all collectively get to experience this together, right? Like, this
all the
feels
excitement.
like a
Yeah.
larger, like us being in the theater, seeing Matt with this audience. I feel that feeling is like us in the middle of the Daredevil fandom. It's like that same communal excitement. And
Right.
so I am just so grateful that we can share that together. Um, it's just a real treat, and I hope that we continue to have more of those moments to share, for sure.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Um, all right.
I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any other questions. If there's not, that is no problem at all. So yeah, I guess, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for dropping in your comments, for chatting with us tonight. Um, this is a lot of fun. We usually only save these for when we have really exciting things to talk about that we want to talk about quickly. So, fingers crossed, we'll get to have reasons to keep doing these. In the meantime, if people who might be interested in hearing what we have to say, feel free to pass this link along to them. Recommend our official Save Daredevil YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/daredevil. And you can go ahead and subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Renew Daredevil on Twitter, and we're Save Daredevil everywhere else. Um, because we do have a new episode of Hawkeye coming up next week, and we will probably eventually post about Matt in No Way Home. We do have a spoiler policy that we have in place, online for our accounts. If you're interested in knowing what that is, you can check out the pinned tweet on our Twitter account. But in the meantime, we are also going to be planning to record some full podcasts, specifically reviewing No Way Home and a Hawkeye series review once that finale is out. That's going to be for our Talk Daredevil pod. So look for those to come out soon. And yeah, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
Yep.
This was
thank you for
fun.
joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had such a great time. Thank you. You can, again, if you're watching this later, do feel free to drop some comments and let us know what you think. We truly do enjoy hearing, your thoughts, and yeah, we will catch you sometime next week after after the finale of Hawkeye comes out.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yep, thank
Oh,
you,
so
and
excited. Thanks, guys.
have a good
Thank
night.
you. Bye bye.